What has pain gifted you? I think pain has gifted me an understanding of others who are experiencing pain, and it's given me a level of empathy for people who experience pain. And so I'm not as insensitive. I don't feel like I'm as insensitive as I might have been before or a few years ago. So when I see somebody dealing with something, my initial response isn't to just like tell them what they need to do to fix their problem. Um, More often than not, my initial response is to try to understand what it is that they're feeling and try to put myself in their shoes and think about what the process of coming out of that hole will look like. Like, for instance, I think about I have a friend who's a stripper, right? Normally, I think when I was younger, I would think like, oh, you're a stripper, oh, you're a hoe, you need to do better. Like, that's not what you need to be doing. Or I'd be like, man, you don't respect yourself, all these kinds of things, right? That would be my thought. Like, a woman who dances and shows her body for money clearly has no self-respect. I think what pain has showed me is that most of the things that we exist in today, for better or worse, are results of experiences that we might have had when we were children or throughout our lives. And a lot of people who end up in positions where they're doing things like that tend to have a lot of trauma. And what happens is that when a person is traumatized when they're younger, a lot of times our minds, in defense of that trauma, try to repress it and push it away. So we're traumatized, but our minds hide that trauma from us, but it's still inside of us. So we're still living with it. We're still feeling the effects of it and the results of it. We just don't know where those feelings are coming from because our minds try to protect us by hiding it so that it doesn't recollect. And so what happens is that as that person grows up and goes throughout their lives, they find themselves doing things that are in response to that trauma without realizing it, because they don't realize that they don't remember that they've been traumatized. And so you will find a woman, and it's interesting because I was talking to my friend about this, and she was sharing with me that she had been molested when she was younger. Was it that she had been molested? I think it was, yeah. She had been molested when she was younger. And so what she realized when we were like talking through it was that she dances and she strips in a subconscious effort to regain autonomy and control, or regain the autonomy and control of her body that was taken from her when she was a child, right? And this same friend is somebody who is, she's in a same sex, or she's into other women now. She's into the same sex now, and in a very similar case, her entire life she's been traumatized by men in her family, men who have been from outside of her family, and so she has a distrust, I think reasonably so, for men because of the way that she's been treated throughout her entire life. Not to mention a whole bunch of other things that have caused her to have this hyper independence where she's never been allowed to actually walk through her feelings and process them and deal with them, because she's always had to be on her own since she was 15, 16, and I was out here just having fun. She was out here having to work and provide for herself because her parents, her family situation wasn't the best. And so all these things convolute and are inside of one single person. And so to somebody from the outside, we may look and see a dancer or a stripper and we would judge and say, oh, she doesn't respect herself. She doesn't care for herself. But when we take the time to empathize a bit, not necessarily to justify what a person may be doing, but to empathize and understand why it is that a person is doing what they do, then we are in a better position to help. And I think that's what pain has done for me. Pain has allowed me to be more willing to understand what is below the surface, what is going on behind the curtain that causes a person to act in the way that they do. And I think we all do this. We all do this whether or not we realize. And what I've realized is that as we get older, that's when the traumas start showing themselves more boldly. And we start to realize that a lot of the things that we identify with that we thought came naturally to us are actually a subconscious response to traumatic events that had been hidden from us for years by our own minds. And so I think that's what pain has gifted me: empathy, and a desire and a will to understand, because that's what I want. That's what I see that I need in myself a lot of the times. That's how I see God deal with me a lot of the times. Because I was blaming myself for a lot of things, and God revealed to me that a lot of the things I deal with are deeply rooted. And there's a lot more things that I deal with that are deeply rooted that need to be unworked. It doesn't mean you justify the action. It means if you're gonna really help a person deal with that, then you have to understand what the cause is. And if you understand what the cause is, then you're less likely to approach with this aggressive and abrasive and judgmental perspective. And you're more likely to realize that more often than not, we're all in the very same boat.